Shalom Israel. Yeah man, thanks for joining me again. So in this video, what I'm going to chat about is some of the recent hostage situation that we did see in 2015. Many cities like Aleppo and Accra have some serious hostage stuff going on. But not only there, many other nations in Europe. So there was 5 hostages that were killed by ISIS or ISIL recently, and many people remember Jihadi John slaughtered them on camera. It was 3 British people from the United Kingdom and 2 Americans, I believe. So they go into the videos I'm going to show you. Talks about the assassination plot of the Crown Prince by this guy who was setting up the terroristic state of the Muslim Brotherhood since the 90s. They tried to interview this guy called Al-Moody, and but he denied the interview, but he still put out a quote in a letter to the producers of this documentary saying that he hopes that he's still considered a member of the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States of America. Alright, so keep in mind he's one of the guys who kind of pushed forward the whole Muslim extremists, with Al-Qaeda, all these other people before ISIS really come out.
Things that I know for fact is what President Hollande, the French president, told me when I arrived in Paris, right after my release. He told me, looking me into the eyes, France did not pay.
But according to a much-quoted series of articles published last year in the New York Times, France does pay multi-million-dollar ransoms, and so do most other European governments. The author of those articles is Rukmini Kalimaki, who's been researching hostage-taking in the Middle East and North Africa for years.
They've created a system of proxies that allows them, in some very literal interpretation of that question, to claim that they haven't paid, especially in Africa. A European government would send the money and disguise it as a humanitarian payment, and then officials in the country would then pass it forward.
But as far as your sources tell you, is it true to say that the ultimate payer of most of these ransoms are European taxpayers?
Absolutely.
By August of last year, the only hostages left in the cell in Raqqa were American and British. The nations that won't pay ransoms.
Okay, so the main person you're going to see in this video is a French hostage, and he was there. He actually sat around with the James Foley character, who was one of the Americans who was beheaded. There's also a lady from a newspaper in New York, and she goes in and she just straight up say, the European nations, they say, especially France, they say and pretend that they do not pay the terrorists when people are kidnapped, these exorbitant amount of kidnapping ransom fees. And what they do, they have dummy bank accounts that they send money to that cannot be traced as if they come from these countries, and then they do pay these ransoms. The United Kingdom or England and the United States or America are the 2 countries that sternly do not pay the terrorists when people are kidnapped, and that's why you see people getting killed. So it's a very interesting, needless to say, as you just saw her talking about it, it's the truth.
Between August and October last year, Islamic State posted graphic videos of the murder of 5 hostages. 3 from the United States and 2 from Britain.
I called my friends, family, and loved ones.
The first victim was American photojournalist James. Between August and October last year, Islamic State posted graphic videos of the murder of 5 hostages. 3 from the United States and 2 from Britain.
friends, family, and loved ones.
The first victim was American photojournalist James Foley.
I wish I had more time. I wish I could have the hope of freedom and seeing my family once again. But that ship has sailed.
A few months after your release, there was that gruesome series of public beheadings of people that you must have known intimately.
Very intimately, because we had a time of move from a jail to another, and it was all this move was very improvised to prevent us from escaping. They handcuffed us like pair, and I was handcuffed with James Foley 24/7 for a week. So this gives you an idea of how intimate we became. You know, in a group like this, when you are so much missing space and under pressure and stress, it's normal that there are arguments between us. And actually, I think that every one of us had at some point arguments with every other, except for Jim. Jim managed to stay friendly with everyone all the time.
Global Post reporting from Benghazi, Libya. The Yemen under heavy attack for most of the day on Saturday. Fierce there.
So we're seeing a lot of RPGs.
Shortly after filing this report from Benghazi, Libya in March 2011, James Foley was captured by pro-Gaddafi forces. His then employer, the Boston website Global Post, managed to get him out 6 weeks later. But in 2012, Foley insisted on going into the field again, to Aleppo, where the Syrian civil war was raging.
Continues day and night. Both sides are sending in reinforcements.
This time he was freelancing, but the Global Post bought many of his stories.
On location Aleppo. This is James Foley for Global Post.
Set up in Boston in 2009, Global Post specializes in exactly the kind of frontline reporting Jim Foley did. Founder and CEO Phil Balboni admits that it's struggling to break even.
Yeah. All right. Good morning.
But when in November 2012 Foley disappeared, Balboni didn't hesitate to spend money trying to find him.
We had people on the ground on the Turkish-Syria border within a week, and we didn't find Jim for almost exactly a year. Well, that was November of 2013, and very soon after that, the first email from the kidnappers arrived.
The hostage takers put a price on Foley's head. 100 million euros.
We didn't believe that could be a credible, serious offer. I mean, 100 million euros is a stunning amount of money. At that time, it was about 135 million US dollars. No one was capable of paying a ransom like that. No government would be likely to do it.
But there was an upside. In the same email, the kidnappers invited the Foleys to submit 3 questions to prove their son was alive.
Jim's brother Michael worked very hard on crafting those questions so that they couldn't be researched on the internet or on Facebook or something like that, you could only know them, it would only be in Jim's head. So off they went, and a few days later they came back and they were all answered absolutely perfectly correctly, so we knew without any doubt that these people had Jim Foley.
And when he was returned to his cell in Aleppo, Jim Foley knew after 13 months of silence that his captors were in touch with his family.
He was crying. He was so happy, he was crying. Okay, because when you are asked for a proof of life question, it's not only a proof of life of you sent to your relative. It's also a proof that the outside world still exists and knows that you're alive. The poor life still, yes, gives you hope.
But for Jim Foley's family, hope soon gave way to frustration. In December 2013, after just 5 emails, all communication from his captors abruptly stopped. And from the FBI here in Washington, despite its access to all the United States' formidable intelligence and diplomatic resources, they heard nothing either.
They had communications
Yeah, man, so when you see these other countries like Greece and Ukraine and Europe balling out saying they're going broke and they need to be bailed out by the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank, know that these European nations are going bankrupt or they're getting broke because they're paying these Muslim extremists. It's not because of bad financing, it's because they straight getting chumped the fuck off.
So there was, without doubt, a lot of information that was available to them. Nothing in the entire period of time that Jim was alive, not a single piece of actionable information ever came back to us.
And according to Rukmini Kalimaki, as winter gave way to spring last year, there was no communication either between the US government and the hostage takers.
There was very quickly a very big difference in how the French and how the Spanish and in how some of the other governments responded. Whereas the Americans, were dragging their feet and basically telling Mrs. Foley, no, we don't pay, ask for more proof of life, etc. The others were going into negotiation mode and saying, okay, 100 million, 50 million, that's out of the question. Let's talk more reasonably.
By April, the European hostages were coming home. But from Washington, the families of the American hostages still heard nothing. Slowly, they realized that their government was doing nothing either. What most of the families decided to do was to start raising the millions of dollars they thought might get the hostages freed. A White House official warned them that if they did so, they might face prosecution.
I think the thing that particularly infuriated Diana John Foley was the threat that was delivered by a member of the National Security Council on a phone call, a conference call, with other hostage families. But we were always assured at the operating level by the FBI that there would be no sanctioning of the family and that they would actually help.
The mixed messages from government only confused the families of hostages already faced with raising huge sums of money. Kayla Muller's family was growing desperate. The altruistic young American had crossed into Syria from Turkey with her Syrian boyfriend, intent on doing good, in October 2013. She'd been kidnapped within days, and her captors were now demanding more than $6 million for her life. There was no way the family could pay.
These people are not playing. But, I care nothing about the Islamic State. We actually are the people of the book. And just in case you don't know it, I'm going to pull up a holy scripture and let you know that why I have no fear when it comes to them. Yeah, man, so may I go into the Apocrypha, one of the holy books in the Old Testament that the wicked, unholy Roman Catholic Church took out. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 verse 9 says, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Praise Yahuwah. For those who understand, if you consider yourself a Hebrew or Hebrew Israelite, then you would be a descendant of one of the 12 sons of Jacob, or Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. My my strength and my redeemer.